All right. Hello, everybody. Wonderful to see so many participants. And let me say right from the outset, if you are having any trouble seeing or hearing or anything like that, please don't hesitate to put a comment in the chat box, and we'll be happy to help you. Welcome to our annual webinar, which is geared for you, the parents, and for your campers, and for your children. It's an opportunity that we have put together for this summer, help you to prepare yourselves as parents for your child going away for the summer, and of course for your answers to some questions, to have a bit of knowledge, to learn about the camp. And you know what, even if they're not a first-time camper, last year was a long time ago, and it's always an opportunity to familiarize themselves with camp. So on behalf of Rabbi Biston, our executive director, Rabbi Mrs. Kotler, our parent liaison, and we'll talk more about them later on, excuse me, and our 90 staff. To run a camp of this magnitude, 250 kids, 240 kids, takes about 90 staff, which are made up of senior, head staff, senior bachrim, support staff, kitchen, dining room, lifeguards, infirmary, medical, and staff, sports, and across the whole spectrum. So it's with that in mind that we welcome you. Gan Yisrael, Florida's boys camp is dedicated to Ili Nishmas Shalom Dovbe Felik Olav Shalom is dedicated in his memory. The mission of the camp is as laid out by the Rebbe, and that is to infuse the Gashmiyus and the Ruchniyus, fun, learning, Yireh Shamayim, Avos Yisrael, and the Rebbe's pointed out numerous times in letters and so on and communications that summer camp is a unique time. It's a unique time because it's not school, the kids are not home, they're in this Hasidic environment for the entire summer, and it's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to try new things, Gashmiyus and Ruchniyus. Kids will come home having learned things that they haven't learned before. They will hopefully come home eating new foods that they haven't eaten before, new habits at home, such as making their bed or taking Negavasa, I don't know, all kinds of things. Out our day, we prepare our day, knowing that it's a unique opportunity. And so our Minyanim camp has 4 Minyanim every day. But the main Kinyan, for example, okay, sorry about that. That's a live event for you. Anyway, so like I was saying, we use every opportunity in camp as a teaching, a learning opportunity, and not only in Torah and davening, but also in sports and in swimming and in all kinds of activities. I was saying before I got disconnected that, for example, in the dining room, our head counselors will get up and they'll ask a question on Shulchan Aruch or Hilchos Beis HaBechira, the laws of the Beis HaMikdash, the sort of thing that kids may not learn in school. But because our head counselors have a captive audience so often during the day, they'll use that opportunity to as a learning opportunity. The campus is a beautiful campus. It's 100 acres. It's spread. It's beautiful. It's spacious. It's air conditioning. It's air conditioned. It's on a lake. Kids get to swim in a swimming pool in a lake. They get to go boating in the lake. It's a phenomenal campgrounds. It's absolutely beautiful. And as I say, we have wonderful support staff. I just want to make a special thank you to Ellie Weisport, who's the producer of this evening's webinar and the man behind the scenes of a lot of things that go on in preparation for camp. Because to prepare for camp, we begin practically the week after Sukkot and all the way through to July 1st. It's the momentum builds. Although your child is not at home, and some of you are sending your child to camp from South Florida, others are sending from around the country, and indeed from as far afield as Mexico, Panama, Israel, England, and so on. We are always there for you. You can always reach us. And let me just say that we'll send out, within the next 24 hours, we're going to send out a parent handbook that will have all the contact information. But certainly any general questions, you can email director@cgiflorida.com. Billing questions would go to billing@cgiflorida.com. And the parent portal that you're all familiar with, because that's how you registered your son. So the parent portal is where you log in. There are forms there for you to fill out. The bunkmate request, if you didn't fill it out yet, certainly now's the time to do that. If you filled it out already, but now you find out that your son's best friend, Mendy, is coming to camp, just log back into the portal and change it from whoever you put there to Mendy, or add Mendy, or, it's in your hands. So don't feel you have to email us, contact us. We made it available for you to do yourself. Medical forms. If you haven't filled out medical forms, it's kind of the responsible thing to do. We'll take care of your child with the ability that you give us. Chas v'shalom, there shouldn't be any circumstances that he needs to go to a doctor or anything, but it's a little easier if we have your contact information. In our medical form at the bottom, you'll see there's a spot there where it says where to reach you on Shabbos. So certainly fill that in case we need to reach you on Shabbos. I'm just going to pause here momentarily. All right. You can also upload the insurance card, and children on medication. Children on medication, as a footnote, by the way, we refer to all medication in camp as vitamins. So no questions. What are you taking? Vitamins. Well, everyone's, what for? To be healthy. We just call it vitamins, and that makes life a lot easier for your son when it comes to interacting with other campers who want to know why you're going to the infirmary again. A vitamin a day. Now, when you filled out your medical form, your child may not have been on medication, and now, God forbid, he has strep and he's on 10 days of antibiotics or whatever. Not a problem. Don't panic. Go back into the medical form and, just add that medical information. If you want to email us just to let us know, you can do so, but it will be flagged and we will see. Some of you may have already been contacted by our infirmary just to go over your son's medication. If they haven't contacted you yet, then they certainly will do. A second session parents may be closer to the second session, but certainly our first session parents, they will be reaching out to you just to run through the medication and make sure that we're all on the same page. Because Kanai Nahara, some of us are sending our kids, boys, girls, a couple of kids, this camp, that camp. And, parents can forget that their kid has asthma. They can forget that their kid has certain allergies. It's okay. We don't judge. We're happy to work with you. So, let us know. Communication during camp. So I've spoken a little bit about communication with the staff, with the administration. What about with your child? First and foremost, you're sending your child, you're choosing, you're making the right decision, but you're sending your child away to overnight camp. He's not going to Bobby and Zadie. He's not going to his friend Mendy. He's going to overnight camp. It doesn't mean that you cannot speak to him. It just means that it's not so easy to speak to him. I don't want to be misleading. The kids do call home. They call home once a week. We have cell phones in camp, which the kids get to use. And provided they don't abuse that privilege, they don't say, prank call people and things like that, then they can call home, and they can call home and take their time. If they call one parent, the other parent isn't home, or if they need to, if the parents are not together, the divorce situation, no problem. They can call each one. That's fine. And they do that they do that once a week. For our international campers, we'll have WhatsApp compatible phones so that they can call you. So that's not a problem. The cell phones that they call from do not accept incoming calls. And therefore, don't call them back. Please don't call them back. You're not going to reach your son. If you miss the call, and it's very possible, it may be from a number that you don't recognize. It will be from a number that you don't recognize. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Sorry, I'm just answering a question here. Yeah, Ellie, yes, the answer is yes. They'll call you back. Now, I know we all like to speak to our child before Shabbos. I'm sending a child to camp as well. If they don't reach you before Shabbos, no problem. Just send us a message and we'll have him call you on Sunday. Erev Shabbos is only a certain amount of time. And so, like I said, if he doesn't speak to you before Shabbos, we guarantee he will reach you on Sunday, no problem. Your son in camp is a wonderful time to go on a cruise or to go to Europe or wherever you may be traveling to. And thank you, Ellie, for sharing the screen. That's a beautiful shot that's a beautiful map. That's the map of our grounds. And while I'm talking about, calling us to find your son could be anywhere on that campus when you call and say, could I speak to my Mendy? The answer is yes, you can speak to him. We'll find him. We'll get him. We'll get a phone to him. He'll call you. It may just take a couple of hours because you know your son better than us. And in all likeliness, as much as he loves you, he doesn't want to come out or all the way to the lake or get a baseball field or call you when he can. I started saying, okay, Eddie, let's go to the next one. And while we're doing that, we have international, we have from overseas. I didn't mention emails. Thank you. So emails, you can email your son as often as you'd like. I think once a day or a couple of times a week is plenty. camper@cgiflorida.com. Don't worry if your pen is right out. We will send it to you numerous times in the build up to camp, during camp. It'll be in the parent handbook. You can email him. We print emails once a day. Typically, they're distributed at lunch. Keep it brief. Keep it brief, to the point. No point asking your son what he had for lunch today, because he can only answer you in his head, and it's not going to satisfy you with the answer. So just keep it brief. We do give them out. Please, no attachments, because we can't print them. We can't print them. We can't print knock-knock jokes, the latest sports news, pictures of little Maishi or Chayla. We just cannot print attachments. So just a basic email, name in the title, and your son will get it and, of course, appreciate it. And we're ready for the next slide. So packing. Laundry is done for our younger kids in camp. Our older kids, it's sent out. That doesn't really make a difference so far as packing is concerned. Laundry is done every 7-8 days, something like that. If you pack for 10 days, then they definitely have enough. If you pack for 9 days, in all likeliness, they have enough as well. And, 2 suitcases, we write 2 suitcases maximum. I mean, 2 suitcases one being for linens and blankets and a pillow and towels, others for clothing. It should be plenty. And definitely label all items. Just don't use initials. Don't use initials because it doesn't help us. Everyone is MM, Menachem Mendel, whatever. It doesn't help us. We're a Florida-based camp. I'm going to use an example as Korf. For example, Korf, right, is a very popular last name. We could have 6 Korfs in camp. So, M Korf, this, that, it doesn't help us. So if you have a sibling, if you're sending 2 kids to camp, or rather if you're cousins or your last name is Goldstein, maybe put on the label, add Miami Beach, add, Pittsburgh, something, PA, something that your son, who will see it on his clothing before you come to camp, will be able to identify his own clothing. I should also add that laundry bags, well, while we're talking about laundry, I'll just mention it here. Send laundry bags by all means, but please, they should be bags, not those open mesh baskets, because stuff just falls out and it's not a good situation. So laundry bags as opposed to baskets or anything else. Oh, it's in there. Okay. We don't need you to send fridges. Guess what? We have fridges. Please don't send fridges. And some of what I'm going to say now, can you imagine your son's room, right? Your son that you're sending to camp. Supposing a kid came over for Shabbos and he brings a fridge, or he brings one of those from Walmart, 3 or 5 chests of plastic drawers. There's no room. I mean, some rooms maybe do have room for it, but our cabins are like bedrooms at home. So here are the beds, and here are the cubbies, and here's the hanging space, and there's the bathroom. We really don't have room for extra furniture. Not to mention that we actually, like I said, we all have dressers. All the bunks have dressers, plenty per child. They all have refrigerators. So there's just no need to send it. It's no need at all. Parents also always ask about fans. If your son doesn't have a fan, a foot away from his head at home, he doesn't need a fan in camp, because the bunkhouses are as air conditioning as your bedrooms at home. So it's just no need. It's just more stuff. It's just more draining on the electric in the bunkhouse. It's just not needed. And I understand, as I say, the administration of camp, we're all parents as well. As we're taking care of your children, our children are, someone's saying they can't hear us. Can you hear me? Dusty, can you hear me? Okay. I don't know why. To the parent, well, never mind. So unpacking is a part of a child's experience in camp. Taking the suitcase, I understand, it's easier to send it like this and like that. It's part of the experience. That's what you're sending them to camp for, to grow. When they come back and they never did their laundry, put away their laundry before, if you allow them to grow in camp, guess what? When they come home, they'll put away their laundry because that's what they did for 4 weeks or 3 weeks or 7 weeks in camp. Getting to camp. We have a bus from LEC for our Florida-based parents. We do have a bus from LEC. Most of you, I know many of you, 60, more than that, 90, 95 kids have already booked on the bus. If you haven't yet done so, go ahead and do it. Ellie, maybe you could put the link in the chat, or we'll post it on the WhatsApp group. We recommend taking the bus because there's support there for campers and parents alike. So campers are with friends. Campers are less likely to react in a certain way, react emotionally. If they're with their friends, they get caught up with their friends, getting on the bus and getting a seat and so on. And for you, the parents, obviously, you're sending your son away for the summer. It can be a little difficult, be a little emotional, and we understand that. But that's what you have a spouse for. That's what you have fellow parents for at the bus. You can hope and pray together, but, let your son enjoy the experience from the very beginning. We just see statistically that it helps with the transition, because even if you slept the 4 hours from South Florida to come to camp, which you're entitled to do, you're basically going to be dropping him at the front gate. You won't be able to go into the bunkhouse. You won't be able to grab a bed for him. You won't be able to unpack for him, because that's part of the experience of coming to overnight camp. For parents from out of state, for campers that are flying into Orlando Airport, and incidentally, MCO, Orlando International Airport, is the only airport we'll pick up from. If you haven't yet sent us your e-ticket confirmation, please do so to direct@cgiflorida.com. If you're flying into the airport, if you're flying in with your son, either you're bringing him to camp or you'll let us know and we'll meet him at the airport. Okay, and I should just mention that kids that come to camp with phones, and some of our flyers come with phones because for understandable reasons. However, once they get to camp, those phones will be collected by the counselors or by the office. They'll be held safely for them. They may be allowed to use them on a Friday to call home. Again, so long as the child doesn't abuse that privilege, and so long as they are not, as they don't have access to the internet. In all likeliness, we'll hold them and they can use camp phones, and they'll get them back before they go home. And the same thing applies to identification, to passports, and documents like that. They can give it to their counselors or to the office for safekeeping. We'll also send out a packing list. We have a beautiful packing list that's on the screen in front of you. I don't expect you to read it from there, but we will send it to you. And it's a guide. It's a guide. It doesn't matter if you only send 9 pairs, not 10 pairs. It doesn't matter if you only send this or that. Or it's just a guide. It's a helpful guide. Our experienced parents may not need it, but it's certainly you may find helpful. All right, moving right along. What not to bring? It's summer camp. It's overnight camp. And as parents, we battle, struggle. Our kids want screen time and we say no, and they always want it, and this and that. It's always, they come to camp and they're living in a very different environment than home. And what's different partly is that there's no electronics. We don't have electronics. We encourage our counselors not to walk around with their cell phones, certainly not to take their cell phones out during the day, because that's not the environment we want. So don't send electronics, music devices, don't send valuables. It's not necessary. The kids need a bathing suit. They need a baseball mitt, a soccer ball, good food we have. That's really all they need. Camp is not free, so please don't send nut products. If your mother-in-law, in other words, Bobby's AD says they're going to send a care package to camp, just remind them that it is a nut-free environment, and because we have kids that have allergies, severe allergies to nuts, we will, nut-based bamba or cereal or whatever, we will have no choice but to take it away and put it away. There's no need to send cases of nush, of junk food. It's really, really, really not necessary. It just isn't. It just isn't. Camp has fantastic food, and we're going to get to that in a moment. The camp has fantastic food. Our food is fantastic. And there's just no need. We have a canteen. We'll get to it soon. It's just no need. Okay. Plastic drawers, I mentioned. Scooters. It's a big campus, as you saw on the previous slide. It's a huge campus. We don't have scooters. We don't allow scooters, electric scooters, any scooter. We don't allow them. Fans are not necessary. Appliances are not necessary either. Last year, we had kids. They bought bread making machines, egg frying appliances, all sorts of things, George Foreman's, all sorts of things. It's not necessary. It's not necessary, and it's a fire hazard, and we will not allow it. So please don't send it. Next slide, food allergies and canteen. Chef Nissen Pevsner, who I think many of you are familiar with. He's been our chef for, I think it's 15 years. That's a lot of experience making food for kids. Across the boys' camp and the girls' camp. Our food is nutritious, it's healthy. Our menus are approved by the Florida Department of Agriculture. lunch and supper most days is a salad bar. So the kids get to go to the salad bar, variety of vegetables that they get to choose from, and it's very popular. Never mind, my kids doesn't eat anything to see. We'll try it. When it comes to camp, kids do eat. They do, and they love them. Also, in the salad bar will be plain pasta. Sometimes there'll be tuna for our kids who to give them as well. We have a canteen. Having said don't send junk, we do have a canteen that sells junk. However, we limit it. So the kids get to go once a day. We limit to how much they spend there. The canteen also has granola bars and some other partially healthier snacks, so it's not all junk. Parents always ask, how much should I send? I don't know, $40, $50 per session. Keep in mind that there's expenses that your son will have if you choose to give him money for that. One is the canteen, and the other is spending money on trip days. So trip days, so there's two different trip days. There'll be smaller trips where they're going, for example, bowling, ice skating, something like that. For that, they really don't need spending. We bring drinks, we bring snacks. And then there are the bigger trips, like to Busch Gardens or Universal. Frankly, they don't really need spending money for that, because the concession stands will always give ice water as often as someone requests. But those are the two, areas that the kids would need money. Camp has snacks. We give out snacks daily, and it's a breakfast, lunch, and supper. Before davening in the morning, there's cookies and milk that kids that's available for the kids. And then in the afternoon, there's snacks. Every day there's snacks. The snacks are a variety of fruits. So every day will be different fruits: apples, oranges, pears, peaches, bananas, and whatever else. And of course, there are water fountains across the campus. And we've installed more water fountains this year than we had last summer. Last summer, we didn't have as many as we would like to have had. This year, we have as many as we feel that we need. So now we move on to bunch programs and special divisions. So we have two divisions within our camp. And I'm just going to go through this very briefly. There's a main division, which is 3rd grade through 6th grade. That's the main division. The 6th grade campers, they have a minion of their own. Everything else they do with main camp, but the 6th grade, they have their own minion, and it's to integrate them. It's to, for the 6th graders, I think it's probably the first time that they're not singing Ashrei. I don't know, different schools do different things, but it's a proper minion. They're sitting there together with Bachrim, and they're learning how to daven. They're learning the environment of the minion and so on. And then we have our bar mitzvah division. Our bar mitzvah division, which we call Tamimim division, 7th grade, they have their own area within the campus. It's called the Hideaway. It's 15 cabins in a semicircle. They have their own shul. They have their own learning. They eat at the same time as the main camp, but they have their own separate area in the dining room. So it's a very beautiful special division. They have extra learning. They have extra trips. There is a dress code, as you'll see in the suggested packing list. They do have a dress code, and the dress code is for davening. For davening, they should have button-down white shirts and long pants and closed shoes. Later on, for sports and whatever else, they can break out the T-shirts and whatever else they want to wear. But certainly for davening, as a respect for the shul, as a respect for davening, and I think this is similar to what most schools have at that age, long pants and button-down shirts. Let's move on to camper care and support. So we have an infirmary. I mentioned it briefly at the outset. We have an infirmary, and we have 2 EMTs on site who are available to care for your child. And that includes everything. That includes daily meds that they might be on, daily meds, medication that they might need if they have allergic reaction, if they have a fever, if they have a headache. and their experience. Thank God it's the third year that these boys are coming back. They work in the medical field during the year. They're actually New York City ambulance EMTs. So they do have a lot of experience. My and Rabbi and Mrs. Phil have an input into what's going on there. All interactions with campers are all logged. There's incident reports for everything, which we have logged and always refer back to. So when you send your medications, obviously send them in the original dispensing bottle. Please don't put them in little baggies and mark them and whatever. That doesn't work for us. They do need to be in the bottle, in the container that you received when you picked up the prescription. As I said, if you have medication, our infirmary will reach out to you and you can have that conversation. What about your campus emotional care, emotional well-being? And this is where Rabbi and Mrs. Cutler come in, and we'll hear from the Cutlers in just a moment. Okay. I was just getting to the... So, Dasi left ago.
I'm having a little bit of a hard time hearing you. I don't know if it's very choppy.
Everybody.
We needed to have. Okay. Okay. Is this better?
Yeah. Now we can hear you.
I guess not. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. For a moment, we could hear you.
Am I?
Okay. Rabbi Goldblatt, should I start talking in the interim? Okay. So, all right. Can everyone hear me? If one or two people, I'll just look in the chat box. Make sure that. Okay, great. All right, and hopefully Rabbi Goldblatt will be audible when I'm done. So, yes, it's really nice to see some familiar faces or names, and some new ones as well. And Dasi and I are very, very. We're proud to be back, Baruch Hashem, for our third summer. And yes, as Rabbi Goldblatt said, we're really in the business of support, and that goes three ways. And really, first and foremost, that's support for your child. And for some of us, our kids can just adjust; they can transition to being away from home in camp, and it's something that's second nature to them. And sometimes even surprise us. There are sometimes parents who are more kid sick, than kids who are more homesick. Incidentally, when that's not the case, I like to tell the kids that, it's not that they're homesick per se, but they're home missing. That's something that they miss their parents. And one of the things that I like to do is to normalize it for those kids who do get homesick, because there is nothing wrong. There's nothing unhealthy with being homesick. Sorry, just got a call on this thing. There's nothing unhealthy about being homesick. On the contrary, it shows that, they miss their parents. But there are some things that can really, really be helpful in terms of how it works. So Dasi and I both we'll work with your child, one of us. And in general, we really do try to help them ourselves before getting a parent involved. A lot of times the first thing they want to do is, I need to call my parent. And I'll give the analogy, it's like someone who's just had a hot pepper in their mouth, and, your initial reaction or instinct is, I need water. And of course, it gives you the instant relief. But, once you're done with the instant relief, your mouth often burns more. And the metaphor is that, after getting off the phone with your parents, they got the instant relief, but often that just gets them more homesick. So unless it's really, really necessary, we usually do try to work with them and have their counselor work with them, and guide them so that they don't have to call home. Now, there are some times when it just is absolutely needed. And in that case, we try to keep the calls as short as possible and really ask that from the parents and from your end, not to promise anything. There's been times where a parent has said, if you're not happy by, it's Monday, if you're not happy by Tuesday or Wednesday, we can pick you up, or we really don't advise that, because the kid already has in their mind, okay, I'm going home by Wednesday. And the last thing we also want is, to have any breach of trust between yourself and your child. So I wouldn't promise anything in the event that were to happen. But again, just know, Baruch Hashem, your child is wonderful counselors. We're here for you. And, we also work to support the staff if they need help, and of course yourselves as well. And one of the things that we really do strongly suggest is to set up a WhatsApp group before camp starts. And so we'll put on the chat my name, my wife Dasi's name, and so let's say your child's name, whatever, just is Avram Cohen. So you'll write, Avram Cohen camp or something, and you'll that way it'll be myself on the WhatsApp group, my wife, and you and your spouse, and if it's in the case of a separated parent, that's up to your discretion whether you want to have two separate WhatsApp groups or not. I leave that to your discretion. But again, that's something we ask you to do rather than us putting together 200 WhatsApp groups with everyone's name. So you can even do that as early as this call tonight, or closer in as we get closer to camp. But that way, if there's anything that goes on, you can always just say, hey, how are things going? How's my child doing? And we can get back to you. And along those lines, often the first couple of days are super, super busy. There are kids who are home missing, aka homesick. There are a lot going on. So don't be alarmed if you send us a text, hey, how's Mendy doing? And it's already been eight hours. What's going on? We're there. It's on the list, and if you haven't heard anything, you rest assured that that's probably a good thing, because Mendy's doing fine, and we will get back to you once we've dealt with the more pressing issues. Dasi, did you want to add anything else other than that?
Hi, everybody. Nice to be back. Like Lev said, I wanted to add something just kind of for context and just to kind of understand, especially for first-time campers, oldest children in the family, kids who are by nature a little bit nervous, or by nature a little bit homesick, or whatever it is, that the kids, many times what happens is the kids are having a great week. Their sports and swimming and trips, and they're having the time of their life, and then they hear your voice when they call you on Friday, and it all bubbles to the surface and they cry. And many times kids, especially boys, I would say, but in general, kids they won't necessarily say, oh my gosh, I'm triggered, I hear your voice, now I feel like I miss you, or I'm homesick. What they'll say is they'll get triggered, they'll start crying, whatever it is, and they'll say, oh, but whatever, I don't want the food, or I don't want my counselor, I don't want so it's very, very normal that when they hear your voice, things bubble to the surface, and it's not necessarily that they're not enjoying themselves the rest of the week and having a great time in camp. It's possible that it could be they're just like hearing your voice, and it brings emotion up for them. But Lev and I are very much in touch and in tune with Rabbi Goldblatt and the counselors and the kids. And so we have a really good pulse on what's going on with the kids and the campers. And like Lev said, we'll always respond or even reach out to you, but not to get alarmed if we can. Very often we can't answer right away. It usually takes 8 to 12, even sometimes 24 hours before we can respond properly or have a conversation. And there are many times, like what Lev was saying earlier, is that many times part of the care triangle, we have the camper, we have the counselor, we have Rabbi Goldblatt, the staff, and Lev and myself. Many times we'll call you in certain situations to hear your input and to hear your, as parents, your children best. So we'll hear your input first, instead of just putting your kid on the phone with you. It's not always the first line of defense. It's usually hearing from you what your sense is, what you think might help them, speaking to the counselors, and kind of approaching it in that way. Anything else, Lev?
No, I think that covers the bases. So yes, Sashem, we're really looking forward to a wonderful summer together with your child. I said together because we're really it takes a shtetl, and we're all in this together. We'll send the input for our numbers for the WhatsApp group in the comment box. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rabbi and Mrs. Cutler. Can you hear me now? Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm gonna move ahead. I'm sure our parents are comforted and encouraged by hearing what you said. I just want to reiterate what both Rabbi and Mrs. Cutler said. When you call JetBlue Airways, when you call AT&T, they tell you the calls will be answered in the order that they were received. We can't necessarily do that. We do have to prioritize in camp. It can take, as Darcy said, it can take a while to get back to you. We sometimes have issues that are pressing that, we do get back to you. And like she said, it does take some time. I'd also like to respectfully point out that please, the Cutlers are there for you, but respect their time, respect their time, and kind of, what's important is important, but what's not important is not important. Okay. Let's move on. Staff, right. So safety, staff and security. Obviously, parents always ask this, what training do our staff get? Our staff have already got training. We hired our staff. We confirmed our staff, I would say, in January. So since January, they've met once all together. That was right before Pesach. And then in Yetz Hashem, the Thursday before camp in Crown Heights, they'll meet again, have another training session. And then camp starts on Tuesday. The counselors, the staff, they come to camp on the Sunday, and Monday is a full day of intense training and orientation and so on. And their training covers everything. It covers a broad spectrum of training, things they need to know, things to be aware of course, including abuse prevention, sensitivity, and so on. Counselors are never alone. Counselors are never alone with a camper at any time, even if a counselor, the camp is supposed to be in shul, not in the bunkhouse. If for whatever reason they show up in the bunkhouse, the counselor knows what to do to ensure that he is never alone with that camper. Parents like to discuss this in more detail, and I'm happy to do so. You can email direct@cgiflorida.com. And also, of course, we're living in a time where security, our physical security, is of paramount importance. We have a full-time armed security guard at our front gate. Our front gate is also an electronic gate. So, it doesn't just go up. You have to call, you have to buzz. Someone asks who you're there, why you're here. And even deliveries that we get, not UPS and FedEx, but deliveries we get if our guard is not so sure, or it's Amazon delivering, in a private car or something, they'll take steps to ensure that the person and the vehicle is safe to come on campus. So, just rest assured that we do have those security and safety measures in place. Practicing, preparing your child for camp. Some children are comfortable going to friends for Shabbos, overnights to Bubby and Zadie, whatever it is, and that's great. Some of you have told me, I'm really apprehensive. It's my child's first time away from camp. We get it, we understand it, but there's still another month to camp. Perhaps an overnight at a friend, who's coming to camp as well. And that would help your child, kind of practice overnights. And if he is doing that, if he is having an overnight, let him pack his own bag. You could say, did you take your pajamas? Did you take your this and that? But let them prepare, let them pack themselves. Hygiene routine. Well, despite popular thought, we do implement hygiene in camp. It is a boys' camp, but kids are reminded daily to brush their teeth and shower, and not just shower, but wash their hair, wash their body, and so on. If your child needs encouragement at home in the area of personal hygiene, they'll need it in camp as well. And we do give it to them. But, the more that they come to camp with having practice hygiene routines and so on, the better it'll be. Homesickness, I'm not going to go into because the Cutler's already discussed that. I'll just reiterate, if your son is functioning, he's eating, he's sleeping, he's playing sports, he's having a good time. At night, he's a little homesick. After speaking to you, he's a little homesick. Shabbos, Friday night, Shabbos afternoon. That's normal. That's perfectly normal. We kind of almost expect it, and we treat it, we encourage them. And, that's our job. We're the staff are there ready to support. In the unlikely event that we feel that your child is, because parents have that concern. Is he just going to cry behind a tree? No, he's not. If we see he's not functioning, he's not eating, he's not drinking, he can't fall asleep, he's wandering around, he's not hanging around with his two best friends that he made up to come to camp with, we'll call you. We're not going to hide anything from you. We'll call you. We'll strategize together. But yeah, rest assured. A comfort item. I don't know. I wouldn't. Yeah, the photograph or a pillow or whatever. Yeah, you could bring that. Definitely send your child with that. I think. And I would just add also that as parents, it's natural to be apprehensive. Some parents are not. Most parents are. Some parents are. Sometimes one parent is more than the other one. Apprehensive. It's natural. We understand that. But your child has to gain confidence from you. You have to install confidence in your child. Together you made up that you're going to register them. Together you made up that he's going to camp. You've been talking about it. Maybe an older brother went to camp. The younger brother is looking forward to the day he'll go to camp. He's only 4, but it doesn't matter. He can't wait. You've been shopping and so on. So install that confidence in your son. You're apprehensive. Like I said earlier, that's what your spouse is there for. A friend, call a friend who sent kids to camp, say, hey, ask the questions, but don't let it, because as we know, our kids can read our face, and it can set them up for a challenging initiation into camp. And the same thing applies at the bus. I did say this earlier, parents are sometimes so surprised that the kid gets to the bus and they see Moshe, Mendy, Yossi, and Schnizalman, and they say, okay, bye, Ma, and they run onto the bus, and the mother's standing there like, arms open, ready to hug the kid. The kid's on the bus already, waving. See you in 7 weeks. So that may happen. It may not happen. But, again, at the bus stop, we want to install confidence. You're going to have a great time. It's going to be great. You'll call me. We'll talk. I'll email you. You need anything, go to Rabbi Cutler, Rabbi Goldblatt, go to your counselor, go to your waiter. Whatever you need is there. Because that really, the way we act at the bus stop, I've seen it go both ways. We can make a huge difference. Any questions that you have? I'm happy to take them. If you only think of the questions, at the conclusion of this webinar, please always email us. I think the Cutler's contact info is also on the screen. Whoever you want to, we're all happy to help you. Again, I just want to reiterate, and I'm sorry if I'm saying the same thing again. Choose, like, you can ask Rabbi Cutler, Mrs. Cutler, me, but don't email all of us. Don't text all of us. Don't WhatsApp all of us. And I'll be very honest, it's so annoying when a parent emails me, WhatsApp me, and texts me. All in the same, all at the same time. It's the same message. It's not necessary. We're not ignoring you. We will get to you, but it's basic respect. So choose who you want to talk to. We're all happy to help you. If one of us don't know the answer, we'll contact. We'll confer with someone else, and we'll be happy to help you. I just want to go through some of the questions that are coming through on the meeting chat. We will not be having a visiting day. And I think I can hear a round of applause. Some of you are saying, the reason that we don't have the visiting day, and we've had it for years, the reason why we don't have it is because we're very, very far away from Miami. It's 4.5 hours. And parents have been reluctant, they feel if there's visiting day, they have to come. And then the Florida parents come, and then the out-of-state parents feel they have to come. And then there's kids, we have, I think, 50 kids coming from out of state, out of country. And it's very difficult for them when everyone else has their parents and they don't have anyone. So we've eliminated visiting day. Having said that, your son is yours. You're entrusting him to us, but he does belong to you. If you feel the need to come visit, contact us first. Please don't show up at our front gate because we won't let you in. If we can arrange a time, check with us, make sure we're not on a trip. We'll bring your son to the front gate. You can take him wherever you'd like and then bring him back when you're done. But I just want to be clear that you won't be able to come onto the campus. You won't be able to tour the bunkhouses or anything like that. With regards to, there's a question, Negavasa Siddur Sefarim. You don't need to send anything. We, Baruch Hashem, have plenty of Negavasa, plenty of Siddurim. If you want to send a Siddur, you could. Typically the kids, it may even be on the suggested packing list. For our bar mitzvah kids that are bringing their tefillin, if there's a Siddur in there, that's great. Otherwise, it's not really necessary. As I said, Negavasa, we have plenty Sfarim. I didn't really talk about the learning curriculum. I mentioned it at the outset, but whatever your child will be learning in camp, we're going to give them. So there's no need to send any Sfarim. Is one security guard enough for the entire campus? We have a assessment scheduled again. Last year, we only had one guard. But we felt it was good enough because it was only really one main entrance into camp. I'll leave that to the experts to determine. I'll mention it to those that do our security assessment and ask them to analyze if it's enough, reassess, I should say. Those that would like tutoring, parents like tutoring for their children, for their sons, either for bar mitzvah or summer homework, email us, direct@cgiflorida.com. We'll put you in touch with our learning director. It's hit and miss, I'll be honest. It's hit and miss because it depends on the bachar. It depends how many bachrim we have that are available. Our bachrim really work 24/7. It can't be a counselor. The learning classes is not a time because the counselors, that's the only 2 hours a day they have off, and learning teachers are teaching classes. And not all kids want to take off sports. So it's a real challenge. We'll try and make it happen for you. There is a fee for it. And as far as progress, we discuss on a case-by-case basis. We like to tell parents that we'll ensure that their bar mitzvah child won't slide back on what they've learned. So far as learning more, again, it depends on the child, depends on the bacher who will learn with them. Some camps have a service to pay to have linens and toiletries sent. We don't have that. And we encourage you to send from home. I know it's a schlep. If you're flying in, it's another piece of luggage to pay for. But, I think it's comforting for a child to have, linens from the linen closet at home, the same brand of shampoo and soap and toothbrush, toothpaste, and whatever else, the same that you use at home. The address of camp will be in the parent handbook. Ellie, if you want to post it on there, you can. The earliest you can arrive on July 2nd is, well, let me put it this way. The buses arrive at about 3-4 o'clock. Buses from the airport in South Florida arrive at 3-4 o'clock. So I wouldn't come to the camp before 1 p.m. Because the staff will still be in orientation and meetings, and the kids will just be wandering around. Additionally, the first meal that we have on July 2nd will be a light snack in the late afternoon and then supper at 7 o'clock. So if you're flying in with your son, then ensure that you're bringing lunch, or maybe if you're bringing him to camp, then go into Orlando, go out to one of the restaurants to eat. Camp begins on Tuesday, July 1st. Tuesday, July 1st. That is the first day of camp. And I think that's all the questions I have, all the questions that I see for now. So again, I thank you all for joining us. The hour is late. We'll finish exactly on the hour. Don't hesitate to reach out. Again, the parent portal is your friend. You can do things on your own. We're happy to help you with it. But the parent portal is your friend. That's where you can update things and so on. So far as money that you send with your child, he should hand it into the counselor. We don't encourage campers keeping cash in their suitcase or on their dresser. We don't encourage that. So let them hand it into the counselor, or even better, into the canteen. And let me backtrack for a second. For the canteen, closer to camp, we're going to send you details of how you can send money electronically to the canteen, Zelle, Cash App, or whatever. That'll reduce the amount of cash that your son is bringing to camp. So far as spending money is concerned, yeah, he can either give it to the counselor for safekeeping. He can hand it into the canteen and then withdraw it as cash, like an ATM kind of thing, and so on. Kids that register for the first session, and in all likeliness, they're going to call you after a week and say, I love it here, I want to stay on for the second session. If you're okay with that, we are probably okay with that, assuming that we have space. We take it on a case-by-case basis, and it depends on room in that particular bunk. But certainly, as soon as your child calls home and says, I want to stay, let us know, and we'll work with you to see if that is a possibility. If there's a question, if there's an opportunity for kids to meet up in Miami before camp starts to get to know the other kids. No, but I would say the bus, the bus stop, perhaps. But no, we don't have really a get together for the campers before camp. The buses certainly will have AC. There are spots available on the bus, so go ahead, make your reservations. And yeah. What else? Social media. We have a X account, and Instagram, and Twitter, and whatever else. We have plenty, and we post pictures and videos as often as possible. We have actually a full-time videographer and photographer whose job it is to take pictures and videos of your son's smiling face and post them for you to see. Yeah, so follow us. We'll post those social media links. Follow us, and and you know what? I know parents sometimes will say, I saw 3 albums of pictures and I didn't see my Moshe. Is he even there? Did he get off the bus? Where is he? It's okay. Let us know, and we'll find him, take a picture, and send the picture to you. But yeah, the bus is, someone asked if there's AC on the bus. Is absolutely. The bus leaves at 11. It'll arrive in camp at about 3, which is over lunchtime. So maybe send food with your son on the bus. And especially because if they're the nervous type, then they will have said by breakfast, they're going to have said, I'm not hungry, I don't want to eat. and then they settle on the bus, and an hour into the journey, they're famished. So, just tell your son you might not be hungry now, put it in your bag, and remind them to use the garbage can on the bus. What else? I think that's it. Clothing can be labeled with a Sharpie. I don't know, as long as a permanent marker, as long as it's clear and doesn't come off. There's still time to order online through Amazon, one of those laundry labels, or there are laundry markers or things like that. You can order a laundry marker stamping thing that you can stamp in the clothing. And again, I just want to reiterate, clothing, if they're labeled, they stand a chance of getting back to your son, because most boys have the same T-shirts as your son from Walmart or Target and so on, or Old Navy. Is the bus peanut free? I can't vouch for it. I mean, I've said it here 3 times tonight that camp is not free. Is the bus not free? Well, you know what, parents, let's keep the bus not free. Can't guarantee it though. What about labeling socks? That is a fantastic question. You can't label socks. It's very hard. In my office, I have a stack of socks from Walmart, a 6-pack, all different sizes. So when your son comes to the office and says, I need to call home, I have no more socks, we give them a package of socks, and parents are pleasantly surprised. What else? Okay, so this is a great question. Will I be able to speak to my son's counselor? It's a little difficult. It's a little difficult because, as I said earlier, we discourage our counselors from keeping phones with them. First of all, our counselors come from literally all over the place. They're not all Americans. Some are coming from France and from Israel. They've been there for the year, and they don't have phones. There's no need for them to have a phone. They just don't have a phone. Some of them have flip phones and whatever else. They don't have WhatsApp. And again, the camp environment, they don't need a phone. They take it out to make a phone call maybe, but they don't. So it's somewhat challenging to ask to speak to your son's counselor. Having said that, a couple of days into camp, if you feel you would like to speak to your son's counselor, let us know. Email director@cgiflorida.com. We'll be in contact with Rabbi and Mrs. Cutler, and we'll do our best. We'll do our best. You can also send an email to director@cgiflorida.com. Attention your son's counselor. So if you want to say that he needs help reminding to brush his teeth or whatever's important to you, he's a scatterbrain and needs help putting his laundry away, whatever, you can certainly do that. It's not embarrassing. We have 240 kids in camp, and with that many boys, we have numerous scenarios of the same thing. So, you can let us know. But again, you can always email us and we'll do our best. You can send sport jerseys to camp. You can send sport jerseys. That's fine. Shorts are acceptable. Absolutely. Like I said, those for our 7th grade, for davening, they need to have long pants. Colors of color war. I've never had that question. A parent is asking, what will the colors of color war be so they can send an appropriate color? Well, you don't know what side your son will be on. You don't have to send red or blue. I don't know. Maybe when we know the colors, maybe we'll send it. I don't know. We help the kids get dressed up for color war in appropriate colors. So even if they don't have a right color, they have some banners or some streamers or something, flags or birthday style hats that they wear. So I wouldn't worry about that. Yes, the answer is, as Rabbi Cutler said, you can create your own private chat with both Cutlers together. Absolutely. They're a fantastic team. And so, yes, the answer is create a chat with Rabbi and Mrs. And if now that just because you created the chat, I can't reemphasize enough. Just because you created a chat, it doesn't mean that you'll need it. In fact, if you want to wait and see that you need it and wait to then, that's fine as well. But I plead with you, be respectful. Don't ask them what your son had for lunch or if he brushed his teeth, or it looks in the pictures like he's wearing the same shirt as yesterday, or, prioritize and yeah. Okay, I think we're going to wrap it up there. Again, any questions, let us know. Thank you so much for joining us. your child is going to have a fantastic summer. Our head staff have been planning this summer for months. When I say months, I'm talking Hanukkah time. They're in Israel, they're in New York, they're in France, they're all over the place. The world is a small world with social media and with WhatsApp. It's going to be fantastic. There's no question about it. Your son will have all the support he needs. We're there for them. We're there for you, the parents. Be positive, and it'll be fantastic. Thank you.